You're about to listen to Kelly Martin Speaks. I'm your host Kelly, and the author of When Everyone Shines But You, a mental health and self-acceptance blogger and a recovering darkness addict. I have experienced intense anxiety, deep depression and life trauma, but I'm coming out of the other side now. Darkness was a comfort zone for me for a long time, and it felt safer than the light. So in this podcast I share with you my journey into the light and how I move through challenge in an empowering way. I'll share with you tools and nurturing ways to embrace your humanity. I was once a shy, scared introvert, afraid to speak, but that's all changing. Let's take this journey together and learn to fly. Hi there, welcome back to Kelly Martin Speaks. I'm your host Kelly Martin and this is episode 110. Okay, so at the risk of sounding like a long playing record, this episode is going to be about not hiding again. I feel like my life journey so far has been unpeeling the layers of myself that prevent me from being seen, that stop me from enjoying the abundance that other people do, from sharing their wares and skills and talents, and also learning to celebrate who I am. It feels often like I take 10 steps forward and 5 steps back. And many days I know how much is changing for me, but yes, I guess the proof is in the pudding, and I've been still hiding myself on an unconscious level and still releasing that which keeps me invisible. Now imagine I'm not the only one that feels this way, and I've done so much to let go of what is holding me back, and you probably have too. And what is keeping the failure story going on, what is causing frustration, or simply just that feeling of I'm sick of being stuck. I hear you, I really do. I'm with you on this. And it's a journey. It's not an easy journey. So before this podcast, I did a little reading for myself based on the ancient Chinese philosophy of the I Ching. There is a site I like to visit called Cafe au Sol, and the author of this I Ching is Kari Hone. Now I sat quietly and I said out loud that I had some sadness arising, some fears about aging, some feelings that my new passions and creativity were going to fall flat and that people would not see all that I put out into the world again. And I was feeling pretty fed up and resistant to what is, and also wondering what it was that I was just missing right now. So on this site, I did a bit of a reading and I got something which is called an unchanging hexagram. Now in the I Ching, there are things called hexagrams. Each hexagram has changing lines, and those lines lead to a new hexagram. In a way, the first hexagram says where you are now. And the changing lines, tell you what is going on for you and how, if you follow the wisdom of the changing lines, that it will lead you on to the next hexagram. Now me, I got no changing lines, and my hexagram was unchanging. And what this means is I needed to pay extra attention to the wisdom of the now in this message, and that I was not being shown the future in a sense because I needed to focus on this message solely. So I'm sharing my unchanging message with you all today because I just know some of you are hiding your brightness too and don't know how to get past it, or maybe not know what exactly is happening for you. Now the first part of the message is what the actual hexagram is about, and I'll share it briefly with you before sharing what the unchanging hexagram says. Now, I received hexagram 36, and Carrie Horn's understanding, she calls the hexagram brightness hiding, or Mingyi. What it says is, Mingyi is often associated with castigation or feeling that you are being misunderstood. You've made great progress up to now and might have been enthusiastic. But for whatever reason, the walls have begun to close in on you. Others are perhaps not speaking your language, and often Mingyi is associated with the dark night of the soul. Now, to receive this hexagram as unchanging, she said the following. And it's a bit lengthy, but I'm going to read it out to you because I feel it will help whoever's in the same position as me. In the depths of darkness, sunrise is coming. The greatest gift you can give yourself is recognize your inner light that shines regardless of the weather outside. Sometimes you hide your light in somebody else's pocket, hoping one day they'll discover you when doing the laundry and pat you on the head. Sometimes you hide it in the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, if you can just find that one thing that eludes you. You hide it in cookie jars and at the bottom of a pint of ice cream. You hide it in the valley and bury it with moss so nobody discovers you are hiding. The obscurity of your brightness is not serving anyone because you have misplaced the reason for your existence. You are not a victim, and life is eagerly awaiting your sunrise. If you don't let the real you shine, how can life celebrate your goodness? Only you know what it means to be fearlessly yourself, but you have placed the centre of your compass elsewhere, as if this or that has to happen before you can be happy. This is a life lesson continuously teaching because you are one of its unique variations and it celebrates your liberation. Open to whatever you are so afraid of because there is no longer any reason to hide. Brightness hiding, unchanging, suggests that whatever is unfolding is allowing you to tap your inner light. Without taking time to connect with your inner world, you may continue to experience conflict around you. This hexagram can come when sharing your wisdom for the benefit of others without needing to focus on what you get on return. Well, after reading this, I realised, yes, I put my creativity out there, but also feel somewhat hesitant to share it further. I realised that as I walked into town to meet a friend today, that I was going towards 50 years of age, albeit 6 years off, and my ego mind was having a field day quietly, yet powerfully telling me, Kelly, you're nearly 50. You still don't know who you are or how you will take care of yourself. And that old story is a tough one to move for me. I realised a part of me was saying, if I don't make a success of something soon, I'm screwed. A part of me had put a deadline on my soul that if by 50 I was still stuck, that's it. No point keep going. I was looking down the road, adding a bunch of requirements that would mean I had succeeded or was happy. So my ego told me I would be happy when I have learned to drive and I have a car. Happy when I have my own home that I own. Happy when I have enough money to take care of myself. All things I've heard before inside my head. All future happiness. Nothing here now. I was still putting such a weight on my shoulders, a burden of pressure from my critical inner adult that by doing this was crushing my newfound creativity, adding extra pressure to it, which then led to me to stop in my tracks like a rabbit in headlights. The unchanging hexagram, it made me realise it's time for me to celebrate who I am, all that I do, but more so realise that I have something to celebrate. and that money and having stuff does not negate my value or my purpose for being here on planet Earth. Having the lack of those things I want does not mean I cannot choose happiness or life satisfaction now. It's still very easy for me to compare myself to those who have all the outward material objects of life. But I must remember that they may not have the spiritual or deeper awareness of themselves, of life, of love that I do, and which would I prefer to have if the world suddenly was nearing its end? My heart, my soul, my compassion, my generous nature, my curious nature, my playful attitude, my love. Because all the things we often yearn for that are outside of us will not matter if we had a limited life. It is how we view our own heart and cherish what we do have that truly matters. And this is a tough understanding for me, but it's beginning to unravel. Thanks for listening to another episode of Kelly Martin Speaks. If you enjoy my free content on this podcast and blog, I appreciate any donations, or you can buy me a coffee via Ko-fi, all on my podcast and page on kellymartinspeaks.co.uk. And I'd also really love it if you pop over to my Etsy shop called Kelly's Playground Art. So if you feel like you want new inspiration for your home, I sell prints for supporting children's self-esteem, funny humour and empowering prints for women, and some weird, curious art too. My range is going to expand regularly. Until next time, bye for now. You've been listening to my podcast, Kelly Martin Speaks. I'd really appreciate your feedback. If you're listening on iTunes, please give me a review. It helps me be seen and heard by those that need it. You can also follow me on kellymartinspeaks.co.uk, where you can read my blogs, find out about my book series, and subscribe to my monthly newsletter. I'm also all over social media, so search for me via Kelly Martin Speaks on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I'll speak to you next week. Bye.